Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Accommodation Show. This week, I'm not joined by one person, I'm joined by three incredible people. We have Aaron Taylor, welcome.
Hey Pat, thanks for having me.
We have Yoav Terrell, welcome.
Hello, good day.
And all the way from somewhere in Europe, we've got Simon Lehman.
Thanks for having me, Bart.
Whereabouts are you, Simon?
I'm in Switzerland, in my beautiful home.
Fantastic. So we've got Aaron, who's out in Orange. We've got Yoav, who's in Sydney, and myself in Melbourne. And this week, we're going to be talking about all things conferences. What I did want to cover today is how much impact a conference or networking can have on your business and why you really need to pay attention to those events and how much they can change things. Now, Mr. Yoav is the chairman of the board of ASTRA, and they are organizing a conference in the Gold Coast later on this year in about a month's time. Aaron is also assisting with that conference, and Simon Lehman is the MC for the conference. So there's no better group of people that we can get together to actually talk about this particular topic. Now, I think a really nice starting point might be with you, Simon, because with a lack of good words, you've been around the block to a couple of conferences in your life. Why?
Yeah, great question, Bart. I've probably seen every STR conference around the world. Latin America, US, Australia, Southeast Asia, Europe. And why is because during COVID, we felt we're never going to see each other again, right? So we digitized conferences, which was incredible how quickly platforms came up where you can just have virtual conferences and many other platforms where we were able to talk to each other. And we were all scared that, during COVID, we felt, hey, conferences can be replaced. No, they can't be replaced because being together with humans in a room, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, especially in an industry like short-term rental, it's absolutely priceless. I've seen other conferences, airline industry, logistics, supply chain management, but vacation rental, these people are not shy of sharing their experiences, their faults, their mistakes, their successes. Why? Because our industry is fragmented and it will remain fragmented. So we have nothing to worry about to share our good things. And that's why I go to conferences, share experiences, talk about it on a global basis and get people energized about the industry. And that's why people go to these conferences.
Yeah. And do you think that, of course, like as an industry, we all need to come together, but on a personal level, for your business, like, does it make much of a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't talked about AJL. I'm running a consultancy firm in vacation rental. And for us, next to LinkedIn, this is top of funnel. Going to conferences, speaking to people, understand their pain points, their strategies, where they want to go to. So, meeting with people. And that's also very important for vendors. We see that all the time when people, there's a lot of interest in the tech companies. There's a lot of startups out there who want to reach people. And that's why they go to these conferences this is an incredible sales funnel next to all the online marketing that we can do. At least you can touch the people and touch the product in a way as well.
Yeah. Isn't it incredible that you go to a conference and you actually want to talk to people that are selling you stuff?
Yeah, but that's also in the nature of our industry. We're people who want to learn and want to get smarter. And there's so much overwhelming stuff out there, and it's interesting how people then go out and learn about, hey, which revenue management system I can use, which channel manager, which PMS, whatever. And that's in the nature of the SDR industry. The people, the DNA, they want to learn, they want to get better, they want to professionalize, and that's why they go and learn and go to these conferences. For me, one thing, just closing on the conference topic very quickly, is it's still very unfortunate that we can't attract more than, let's say, 15 or 20% of the industry. And that's a real shame. If you think about For example, in the US, like VRMA, the largest vacation rental conference in the world, more than 2,000 people, represents less than 10% of the listings in the United States. And that's a real shame. So there's still a lot of people who haven't come out of their box and really go and go to these conferences. And these are the ones we need to motivate, because I want to make some new friends as well, right? So I know a lot of people and I meet them all the time, but I want to meet new people as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why we do these sorts of things, right? And we do the podcast to get in front of a new audience, talk to new people, and find the means and the resources to make it happen. Aaron, I'm gonna tell us a little bit about your sort of jumping in for the Here to Stay conference. I know that you're at B&B Made Easy, and you've been to a few conferences before. A couple of things. One is obviously you work for B&B Made Easy, so there's a bit of a commercial incentive to get involved and do it. But I think you don't do the work that you're doing right now without being passionate about trying to make a difference.
Absolutely. I do work at B&B Made Easy, and the very first conference I attended was in my first industry working, in my first year working in the industry. What Simon was saying is really important. Such a small percentage of our industry are attending conferences. We need to make them aware that these conferences exist. And that's how I became aware that short-term rentals really was an industry. It was a profession that could provide a career. I didn't know that outside of a couple of companies. I didn't know there was a world of technology that assisted in this industry. I didn't know any of that stuff before. I was exposed to the first Here to Stay conference, and I'm pretty sure it was the first Here to Stay conference, was my first conference as well. Why am I on board with Here to Stay now? It's my passion is for building an industry that people want to join. I stumbled upon the short-term rental industry when I was looking to get out of teaching after COVID. I knew the power of professional development and conferences a platform for really effective professional development and networking from my background in teaching. But now my passion is for building a profession that brings the best people into it. And conferences are a way of promoting that. Conferences are also a way of continuously improving the profession that we're in.
Yeah, wow. And Mr. Yoav, we were the organizers of the first
The
Here to
OG.
Stay conference,
Yes.
the OGs.
I pay homage to you too for exposing me to the industry. Thank you.
Yeah. And look, Yoav, I think a lot of people will be listening already know kind of your story and know of you, right? So we don't need to introduce you again. But it's interesting because for me, there's sort of two sides of it, right? Because you're obviously representing Guesty as a company, but you're also chairman of the board. And I know that there's a lot of personal sacrifice that goes into leading the charge and leading this organization. And there's got to be a lot that you get out of it beyond business, but from a personal point of view. What's your driver behind doing what you're doing?
Yeah, look, and I think that I speak on behalf of all of us in ASTRA, in the board, past directors, the current directors, as well as the members that are part of our different committees. It's a combo. It's a combo of, like what Aaron said before, of we're proud of the industry. We want to improve the industry. We want to make sure that the industry get the recognition it needs. So there is that element. There is the element, and I hear it a lot in our board, of giving back to the industry that we live, thrive, earn from. So there is also that element. We are dealing, as you know, in ASTRA a lot with the regulations and the attacks on short-term rentals. And that's also our way as an association and within the conference to unite everyone. We're quite fragmented industry. So it's a combination of everything that comes together, and that's what's in it for me and for us in our involvement in ASTRA. Because it takes a lot from us board directors. This is, we're volunteers. I hope that my boss in Guesty won't hear the podcast, because if they knew how much time I spent outside of Guesty in ASTRA, not sure that would go very well. But we love doing it. So yeah, that's
yeah, it speaks highly of Guesty to have such committed people working for them as well.
And thank you, and thank you on their behalf. But I think that also BNB made easy, and as well as the other board director that are part of companies that on board, it's I feel that that's part of our contribution. Now, look, on a personal level, the knowledge, the connections, the network that it provides you, that's that's priceless. A lot of the things that I know, I'll just say that, a lot of the things that I know, by the way, including you three gentlemen on the call, is thanks to ASTRA.
Yeah. There's no way that I would be where I am as a business owner without heading to events. And Simon, it's actually quite interesting because I think we had just wrapped up the first Here to Stay conference in Australia. Then I headed over to VRMA in the States. And when I was there, I was was the first being exposed to so many different companies, so many different people. And after that conference, I came back and I think we tripled the size of our business, not because of the conference itself, but because of all the relationships and the learning. And it was more of a mindset, more of a motivation to actually go out there and really know that we are on the right path. We are doing the right thing. It was kind of a monumental shift going to them. And it's interesting that you're saying, we were just talking about VRMA as well. I mean, like, you've got to travel super far to get there, right? To go to VRMA. You're coming to Here to Stay in Australia. And there's got to be more than just a commercial ROI, right? You're not going to go back and then just make your return on your flights and all that kind of stuff. It goes a lot deeper than that. What do you think?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, especially Australia. I lived in Australia for 7 years, so I'm homesick like hell, and therefore there is also an emotional component to it. I mean, I'm not coming to Australia to pick up a heap load of customers either. I mean, for me to do consulting physically in Australia is obviously challenging, but it's a great network, and for me, it's an emotional connection that I have to Australia, and for me, it's great to come back and take that travel, despite the fact that I've built an incredible network now in Australia as well, and with obviously Made Comfy and all the other things that have happened, it's been extremely rewarding and continues to be rewarding. And it takes time to build relationships, to your point, right? So I'm happy, but I have to say I might have become a little bit more selective. I have to say, I mean, in Europe, I don't want to mention any names, but I think we're reaching a certain saturation. So I'm being more selective in terms of which conference I attend and really see that they deliver incredible content, good speakers, have a really good audience. Which tail of the business do they focus on? Last year, I was a guest speaker in Colombia and Medellin, and I did that because I was very interested to see this market. For me, and there's nothing wrong. This conference was massive because they made it free for hosts. They had 2,500 people streaming in there, and the software providers were super happy. But these guys were far away of talking to a consultant, right? So for me, Colombia, I've seen. I said, well, in 5 years, I might go back to a conference in Colombia, but for now, this is not where I'll be heading to. But markets like the US with VRMA, STAA in London, ASTRA, these specific country organization conferences, they're extremely valuable, very powerful. Australia has a very interesting STR market, a lot of work to do. It's a continent with massive potential. And therefore it needs a conference, but you don't need to oversaturate the industry with events because you're stealing each other, the audience, for different reasons. And I think that's a balancing act. And in Europe, I have to say, we're seeing a little bit of an oversaturation.
Yeah, quite a few different events popping up, right? Yeah, fascinating. So, Aaron, I'm going to come back to you for a second. You're now kind of heavily involved with the Here to Stay conference, getting it together. And I'd like you to talk to sort of a bit of what Simon was saying about, getting the right speakers, making sure the value proposition is right for the conferences. In your mind, what does a great conference look like for us in Australia?
I think there's a couple of things. Just to touch on what Simon was saying, we were speaking at the start of this conversation about how fragmented the industry is, and rightly so at this point in time. That means there's a lot of different audiences out there, from individual hosts through to beginning property managers, through to experienced property managers managing large portfolios. So a conference needs to know who it's targeting, first of all. If you try to please all the people, you end up pleasing none of the people, and you end up doing a mediocre job for everybody. So adding value where you know you can add value. So as someone was saying, and as a company too, B&B Made Easy, we have to pick and choose which conferences we go to because of the content, the value proposition, and also everything tends to be on at the same time as well, doesn't it? There is certainly the conference season. So being able to choose where you're going based on your needs. I also think, I was going to comment earlier, but I'm glad I've got the opportunity now. What excites me about being on a team leading a conference is we can look to the future. We can actually get people excited about the future of this industry that we're building. And we are still building it. It is fragmented. It is new. It has challenges. It has gaps that we need to address. Bringing speakers together that can address those gaps, at least one of those gaps in detail, is really important. A speaker needs to get on stage and add value to their audience. Having speakers who are just there to promote their product it is good information, but it's not adding value. So you need to get experts in their field who are as equally committed to bettering the industry as we are. And that is not a challenge. There are so many passionate people committed to doing that. But curating the right selection, targeting what it is your audience needs. And that's one of the things that has been a core focus of Here to Stay this year, is working out what it is our audience wants and doing our best to address that.
Yeah. And being on the different conferences, or being in ASTRA for all the different conferences, what do you think is different this year as opposed to the other ones?
Different this year is the emphasis that we put on the hosts side of the industry. One of the feedback that we received in previous years was that that's a segment that we need to cater for, that is looking for more of relevant information. And at the same time, and that was also some of the feedback that we received from Simon and took on board, is that also for the professional property managers, you need to make sure that they get the content that will challenge them. That similar to what Aaron said, that they will come and feel that they learn something new. So what we're trying to do, and it also from the Strive conference, Bart, we trying kind of to plan the room and the session, whether it's in parallel streams or whether in certain topics that will allow to cater for these two audiences. So I would say that in this fourth year of the conference, that's probably the stronger.
Yeah. Tell me more about that, Simon. Challenging a property manager.
Yeah. There was some great takes. I want to pick up what Aaron said. Actually, I used to have the honor to run one of the largest travel tech conferences in the world called Focusrite, and I learned a lot during that time. What brings good content to the audience, and challenging. I think we're open to be challenged, but I think the quality of the conference is absolutely key. And one thing that I've learned, and you can compare that with conferences like Focusrite, Skift, who is also going down that alley as well, organizing a lot of conferences. They're very profitable for some of these large organizations. Not the same for an association, don't get me wrong. But, the ticket at Focusrite costs more than $4,000 for 2 days, so 3 days.
What?
But that's...
I'm doing this all wrong.
No. But this triggers, the CEOs from Booking.com, from everyone, and the networking, and people pay for the networking aspect. And I think that's where you need to think about how can you elevate that, because a lot of the top CEOs, is Graham Donoghue coming, is Steve Schwab coming? Yes, in Australia, of course, Will is coming, and Tim is coming, and Quirin is coming. Yes, but that's not the same. But in Australia, you need to make sure that the speakers will attract the bigger crowd because they want to meet these people. And that's where in the online travel space, Focusrite has won the game, because if you want to have a drink at the bar at 10 o'clock with any CEO from the largest OTAs in the world, you have to go to this conference. It saves you an enormous amount of money because you travel for thousands and thousands of dollars to meet these people. You can meet them at one conference in 2 days or 3 days. So you're willing to pay substantially for that. But going back to our level, I think the quality of speakers for me is one of the most important thing. And one thing that Focusrite did exceptionally well, and this is very hard in our industry, I know that, and I had many conversations with Yoav about that and many other conference organizers, is pay for play. This is something that Focusrite never, ever did, ever. So that means you could sponsor for 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, something within the conference, but you did not get an automatic pay for play, which means you got on stage. And another organization did that, and then you get speakers onto the stage that are just not fitting the format and the quality of the conference. And this is not a personal thing, but speaking publicly, you either have it in you or you don't. And if you don't, it's a horrible experience for the people who sit in the audience. If you can't speak freely, if you can't, have an opinion and bring that across to the audience in a couple of sentences. And that's what I would focus on. And I think ASTRA has done a great job in identifying speakers who are natural and good speakers and not pay for play just because you sponsor, you get on stage. This should not be automatic. And I think that balancing act for smaller conferences and starting conference is obviously a challenge. But I think ASTRA is doing a great job in doing that to make sure we want to bring quality to the audience, challenge our audience with the right speakers who are not scared of saying the wrong thing, something against Airbnb or something against Booking.com. Everybody's very careful. I think, hey, we need to share our opinions. And I think that's what the conference is there for. And ASTRA is very mindful of that.
So when you're saying challenge, I feel like we're saying challenge the status quo, right? Do things different, break the mold.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've seen a lot of different conference formats, like VRMA had different parallel tracks. It's always a challenge. How many parallel tracks do you do? Do you do it in the lunch break like you did last year? Things like that. And I think we need to challenge and we need to look outside what other conference formats are. And, there is not a secret recipe here, but I think you're challenging that. And that's great to make sure that people feel engaged, they have different ways they can communicate. Somebody with 500 properties has a different challenge than somebody with 2. It's a fact.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to what you're saying before, Bart. When you first attended the conference, you came back, you were able to triple the size of your business because you had a different mindset. To me, that's what the conference should challenge you to do. Meet the audience where they're at and challenge them to leave at least the next level. Whether there is a single host who is challenged to improve their guest experience, or a massive property management, a CEO of a massive PMC who is challenged to think differently about business. Everyone should walk away with value and not always be the people who keep getting trooped out on stage because they can add value to the industry and they are incredibly good at it. But those people should also be challenged to improve themselves and their businesses.
Yeah.
And may I add one more thing? It's also ASTRA as a members association. We constantly get feedback from the members. We run surveys. So there is also that element of listening to the members and see what they want, what they need, where they want to be challenged. And that's part of the process. And Aaron worked a lot on it when he kind of compiled the agenda, is making sure that we're listening to our members. So that's another element.
I think that's a really unique thing for us and a really beneficial thing for us in our conference too, is that we have an inkling as to what the audience wants. We're not guessing. That's incredibly helpful.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting also because you are a member organization. You've got your members that you can be pulling on stage, right? And working with them to really collaborate to create something which is really for them, right? Where a Strive, we have our audience that come, but it's not membership based. So I'm not forced to do anything for any particular person or any group, but also from that community perspective, I think that you guys have got a really, really strong base to work from. So that's very, very cool. And I think that can be leveraged as you guys are, which is great. Cool. All right. So when's the conference happening? Well, what it's in October the
It's on October 23. So 23 and 24 at the Royal Pines Resort on the Gold Coast.
Fantastic.
Coming from a very wintry Orange, I'm looking forward to getting to the Gold Coast where it might even get to double digits for the temperature.
I bet. Like I was reading an article yesterday about how it's just got too busy now in the Gold Coast because everyone's going down for these events. If you haven't been to the Gold Coast, really great time, a lot of fun. Simon, when are you going to get into?
Yeah, I'm coming from VRMA in Las Vegas, most probably via Sydney, then to the Gold Coast. So I'll be there probably as of Sunday to get acclimatized, catch up with some friends and my son who lives in Melbourne. So I can catch up with him again. He was last year at the conference, loved it, made some good connections, and he will come again this year. So I'll be there 3 days before the event starts.
And I'm gonna kind of start wrapping us up. But what is the number one thing that you think people should do or get out of the conference when they're there? And I'll start off with you, Aaron, and then we'll flick it around.
The number one thing you should do is come with a plan of what you want to learn, know what gaps you're trying to fill, and make sure you fill them, whether that's through the sessions or through networking or finding someone to meet and talk to learn from. Walk away with a plan to address the gap that you came with.
Beautiful. How about you, Mr. Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. I think people need to get energized, get a plan on, understand how the business is going to evolve over the next 2 or 3 years and what you need to think about to, potentially weather the storm and see what else is up there and share as much knowledge and experience with your peers and walk away with a better visibility of what you need to do in the next couple of years.
Love it. And you veteran, what do you reckon?
Who are the 5 or 10 people that you want to speak with? Property managers, they are really great technology companies, they're overall vendors. So who are the 5 to 10 people that you must speak with? One of them is Will Creedon. So who are the other 9?
I love it. I think that for me, I actually find that the best information is with the vendors. I spend a lot of time with the vendors talking to them because they've got really deep networks and they're talking to hundreds of clients rather than talking one-on-one to one particular company, and they can kind of guide you as to how things are looking and how things are structured. So I really enjoy talking to them. But I think that networking, find a group, find a community, work together, exchange WhatsApp numbers, create a group, find ways of actually talking to each other past the event. That's going to help you tenfold. I think for every single conference I go to, there is a separate WhatsApp group like VRMA, and then go in there. Who's coming in? What time are you coming in? So then you've already got a network to start to talk to about the different things.
Great point. I forgot something. I need to stash up on Tim Tams and Vegemite.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask Simon a question?
Sure.
Simon that goes to conferences around the world and see different short-term rental communities. We think that there is something special about the ANZ short-term rental community. That we are, that's kind of everybody close, a lot of friends. You don't see much competition. You see kind of people want to come together. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that lies in the DNA of an Australian as well. So, being more outgoing and having conversations and things like that. I found the vibe. Think about the vibe. I think about the Australian movie. It's been a while ago. That the vibe at the conference in Brisbane was just absolutely incredible. And and definitely different from other conferences that I've seen. So I think the people are spending a lot more time together and not wander off and be more secluded or excluded. I definitely felt that. And this makes it incredible. I mean, you have a pretty big country. Let's not forget that Australia is 265 times larger than Switzerland with only 3 times the population. So when you meet each other, you better talk, right?
Yeah. Love it. Look, short and good. I think it's really important that people that are listening to this episode get a bit of the feeling and the energy. And I think that that's the most important part to take from this, is that we are here of service to you guys, all of us individually. If you go up to Simon, you have a chat with him at a conference, he'll help you with whatever he can. Same with Aaron, same with Yoav and myself. And that's kind of, I think, the way that the industry is and the way that we are. And I think that that's a bit unique. I do go to quite a few conferences, and I find it really difficult at some conferences to break through established networks and that sort of thing. But here you've got, like, there's already, if you don't know what you're doing, come and meet these 4. But if you've been to conferences as well, come support them. It's really important. You want them to keep them going. You want ASTRA to keep them going, keep them hosting these events because they are representative of the industry. Come to the Strive events as well. I'll plug ourselves as well, because that's super important as well, is that we want to create these spaces for us to bring great speakers from across the world and create these environments. Folks, if you are tuned in on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe, share it with someone that doesn't know about the conferences that are happening. To all of you, Aaron, Simon, and Mr. Yoav, I'm super looking forward to catching up with you guys, having a couple of drinks. So take care, everyone.
Thank you.